Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to my channel. As you can see, I've got a beautiful guest which I'm going to introduce right now. Mrs Siza Ndlovu, right?
Yes.
And you are? Do you want to...
Hi guys, I'm Siza, a wife, not a mother yet. Married to my husband, Untitled Chapter. What am I? I'm in the pharmaceutical industry, and I think I'm a content creator. I'm not too sure, but yeah. Oh, and I have a YouTube channel.
Yes. I mean, some people should know.
Yeah.
So if you don't, you can hear it.
I nearly forgot that, but okay, I'm a content creator.
Yes, own it. You are. So I partnered up with Siza on this particular topic. Because I thought it was so fitting for her to be on here. There was something that she said in her YouTube video when her husband's like, were you ever jealous of your friends? And she's like, me? Jealous of my friends? They were jealous of me. And I was like, I love it. I love it. I absolutely love it. So that's why I thought that she was so fitting for this particular topic, honestly speaking. So we're going to get into it. We're going to be talking about insecurities within the relationship and the insecurity that we deal with personally as people and as women, and how we can overcome that and how we can find ourselves in a more healthier space emotionally, mentally, even physically. So we're gonna chop it up. Okay, so before we do that, kindly subscribe and don't forget to like, share, comment, do all those things. Let's get into it. So, Siza, growing up, were you always confident? Did you have any insecurities in your life as a whole? Take me through your upbringing.
My childhood. Okay, so for me, I think like any other chubby kid, because I've always been chubby.
Okay.
Always, literally always. I've had my insecurities, and only because of external factors. So at home I didn't feel any of this. So it wasn't taught at home. It wasn't things that I was worried about because of home. It was because of school. You know, school can be the ghetto. Primary school, high school, yes, sure. Definitely. So I was an insecure child because of what people used to tell me I am, and what they used to call me, and how they used to tease me and all of that. I think the only time I would experience it at home is when my parents' friends would come over, and also I don't think it was in a malicious way for them to maybe tease me. It was in a way, obviously, I'm a chubby child, so that's when these are stula, you know. But also at the same time, as much as it wasn't in a malicious way, it did play a part in how I ended up viewing myself. So it's very okay, I'm getting off topic now, but what I'm trying to say is that it's very important how you bring up your kids, what you say to kids. I think my husband and I don't have kids yet, but we are cognizant of how we're going to be bringing up our kids. It's good because it is the little things that are necessary that end up shaping a kid in the long run. So yeah, it was mostly primary school, high school, and my parents' friends where I noticed it was okay. I'm different. It's interesting that it's always outside people, because outside people now, I'm like on the other end of the spectrum, and other people were like, they'll call me, hey, Matambo. And it doesn't register like until only later on, where you're like, no man, you feel some type of way about your body. So I want to go fast forward. So now these things have been planted in your mind. You meet your friend first, then boyfriend, now husband. How was that within the relationship? Because you met him in varsity, am I correct? Yes. I know these things. So you met him in varsity, and I think varsity is another hub on its own. Definitely. It's just like
it's a platter, it's a buffet. Listen, Hans, it's grimy out there. Hans will be like, I can take your man. Really, on the basis of how they kind of scan you, they're like, nah, I can get that. So how was that with you, and how did you begin to solidify your place in his life, especially in such an environment like varsity?
So with Uzwandi, it was, firstly, I wasn't looking for a relationship, right? But also, I don't think it was a matter of I'm not looking for a relationship because I'm not too sure of myself. It was a matter of I'm not looking for a relationship because I want to focus on school. So he did really come at an unexpected time. And in terms of solidifying myself within that space, I don't think I did anything to solidify myself. I don't think it was a matter of
there was never a time where you felt like, oh my goodness, all these girls, because I'm sure there were girls that spoke to him as well within campus. Was there no time where you were like, oh, okay, this girl who looks like this, and felt like, maybe I should just try and up my game a little bit? Was there none of that?
There was some of that, but it wasn't because of other girls.
Okay.
I think it wasn't because of girls around varsity. I think it was because of his previous girlfriends.
Okay.
So personally for me, because he was / is such a dream, I just felt like, because of the things that people plant in your head, you start feeling like, I think he's too good to be true. And also then you start doubting yourself, and you start playing backwards. Okay, let me try and track down his ex-girlfriend.
You what?
Let me try and track down his ex-girlfriend. I need to see this for myself. And when I saw the ex-girlfriends, they looked nothing like me.
Really?
Nothing like me. So none of them were chubby, and the one previous to me was really tiny, like really tiny, petite. So it's things like, I think we just start getting into our heads and we start dissecting unnecessary things. So that was a time where I had to kind of stop and focus on what is in front of me before I lose it, you know. So personally for me, it was a matter of, because I just feel like it's too good to be true, and obviously people are judging and people are like, but how though? You know, those two, is this a joke? I know a lot of people he went to high school with really thought it was a joke, and at some point they honestly thought, I think when our relationship started, they're like, okay, he's probably just there for fun. Then but one would say, okay, years are going by. And then they would send like a friend here and there to ask, dude, are you seriously out of the game?
I'm confused, but okay.
What's he doing? Are you seriously out of the game? And others would be like, I was also Buli, relax. And then when we got married, I think obviously they were just like, what the freaking hell? So
they didn't believe it only up until the point where
until we got married. So and that was like 8 years. We got married 8 years after being together. So so I think for me it is a matter of me, how I started doubting myself because of his previous relationships and them looking nothing like me. So what is he doing with me?
And how did you overcome that? Because I think for me, it was within varsity, and I wasn't dating anyone at the time, but there was just someone that we would hang out with quite often, and he was pretty good looking, man, you know. Literally, let me not lie, like when you walk around campus, the girls will be like, that dude, you know. And because I realized, okay, I'm like, okay, this dude that I'm walking with, apparently then he's attractive, and then they look at me and kind of size me up. And so he then has almost like a buffet of women, you know, if he wanted to, at his fingertips. And it was for me when I looked around and I'm like, oh my goodness. And some of them would even come and greet, and I'm there, you know how they don't greet you. You know how they just like to the side and focus on the person that they're here for. And you know, just kind of you know, and it was within, I literally remember that day so vividly. I removed myself mentally from that thing. I just almost like, and I looked around and I'm like, personally, I can't be anything else. I can't be yellow bone. I can't. My figure right now is not allowing me to have bumps fully. Like I can't be anything outside of who I am now. And if this is who I am now, this is how you're going to have to like me. And I wasn't necessarily saying it for that particular person because we were not together. So there was no expectation really. But I was like, but if this is the life that I'm going to choose to have, I don't want to find myself in a position where I'm now chasing the next thing or wanting the next thing because that person has it and that's what he seems to be attracted to. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it does.
You know, if you're a person who you really love your cornrows and your natural hair, for example, and because the person you like seems to be attracted to that other thing, you can't now change yourself to be that thing. You absolutely cannot do it. And it was that time for me where I was like, oh, okay, no thanks. So when I had met my husband, I kind of had surety of who I was, in the sense that if you are going to be with me, that you're going to get me whole, fully, wholeheartedly. The other things which we'll get into later, overcoming insecurity when it comes to like body-wise and just being comfortable with your person, we'll get into later.
I think the one thing that I'm always preaching is if you have a problem with the way that you look, then you have the power to change it.
100%.
You have the power to change it, and that is the only thing that you can do. But if you don't want to change it, then you learn to live with it and you learn to embrace it and you love it. Personally, for me, like you said, when you met your husband, you were sure of yourself. You knew who you were. It's exactly the same thing with me. Obviously, we are human. We do sometimes get insecure when we don't expect to. High school, I literally went through all the diets that anyone could have recommended. I remember in grade 11 I lost so much weight during exam season. I lost so much weight that my pants were literally falling off. Like I needed a belt to hold it. Yes. And because it was exam season, I would make sure that my mom drops me off like when the exam is just about to start. So I just get there right, and she's there as soon as I'm done. So I leave as well, and I don't get to interact with my friends because I had lost so much weight at that time. But because then I asked myself, okay, I've lost all this weight. Then what?
Now what?
Okay, so then what? You know, so it was after then, and I was just like, okay, no, I'm done with this. Like, I'm just really going to focus on me, loving myself. And that was grade 11. By the time I was in varsity and I met Uzwa at the end of first year, I had gone through the entire journey. And I was just like, okay, I know who I am. And if he's going to be here, he's obviously here because of me, for the fact that he approached me.
So I want to flip the script a little bit, because I know sometimes insecurity also doesn't really come from me as a person. Whether experienced or not, but you have to share some sort of wisdom, you know. So I know that insecurity doesn't only come from a place of, you know, how I feel, but it's also what someone has done to me. So for example, if there's infidelity, or if your partner has been in a way verbally abusing you based on how, you know, based on how you look, so they will tell you, no, you're the one with the bones, you're the one with the rolls, you're this. How does someone get over that? Or let's maybe start with the cheating one, because I do know sometimes infidelity will come from the fact that, okay, or maybe I'm not good enough. And it's not everyone with the willpower after someone has cheated on them to be like, it's not me, you're the one with issues. Because I'm that girl. I'm like, I don't have no issues. You just didn't want me, and that's okay. If you don't like steers, go to Wimpy. You know what I'm saying? But there's nothing wrong. Leave steers alone. Leave steers. Nothing wrong with their fries. So that's how I felt. Like I just knew in my heart of hearts that, you know what, even if you go to the next person, personally I know that there's nothing wrong with me. But how would someone who has been in that situation, do you think, how could they overcome that situation? And how do you think that they can build up their self-esteem and trust in the relationship again? Trusting
in the relationship again is going to take some time. But when it comes to dealing with it yourself, personally for me, I think it starts with communication. So you communicate with your partner. We preach communication all the time, even if, actually, especially when it's uncomfortable, you need to communicate. Another thing, I personally think, really, self-love goes a long way. And if people don't learn how to love themselves first, they're going to find every single thing that is wrong with themselves to justify what has happened, right? So personally for me, it's definitely communication, self-love, and self-love is a journey. It's not somewhere I've got crazy confidence, but I'm still on the self-love journey every single day. It's the little things that you do for yourself, to yourself, to thank yourself for breathing, to thank yourself for trying a new opportunity, to thank yourself for trying out something new. It's just the little it's just the little thank yous that you give to yourself that sometimes you don't get from someone else. It's the little appreciations that you show yourself that you sometimes won't even get from someone else. I think most of the time that we look so much from the outside to get the validation and the love and the appreciation from outside. If you can't give it to yourself, how do you expect the next person to give it to you?
So I don't know if you watch the videos, but I know almost every video her husband like mid-convo, oh baby, you look so gorgeous. That oh baby, you look so gorgeous. And sometimes I understand that people's now love languages are different. Some people really love words of affirmation. They thrive on that, and it's not necessarily how you look. Sometimes it's performance based, or you did really well today, etc, etc, etc. Do you think that there's a line when it comes to wanting to or feeling the need to be appreciated? Do you already know that, yeah, I look good before you even meet your man? Or is it that thing that you are, because I feel like if you are waiting for someone to tell you, oh babes, those brows, that red lips looks great, then it's a bit of an unhealthy
definitely
thing.
Definitely. I think personally for me, if it helps if you know your partner's love language, then you fill it up. You fill it up. But like I'm saying, it starts with you. So if your love language is words of affirmation, give them to yourself. Affirm yourself. You know, if your love language is receiving gifts, buy yourself gifts.
Buy yourself.
Get yourself those flowers. You know, if you're like, I just feel like before the next person can do it, it starts with you. Personally for me, also, like, my husband is my biggest, he's my biggest fan. He is. He's honestly my biggest cheerleader. But before him, I'm my biggest cheerleader.
Good stuff.
So I would look into the mirror and yo, and start hyping myself up. By the time I get to him, by the time he sees me, exactly, he's overflowing me. So
that's good.
Yeah,
you're receiving it from a place of overflow.
Yes, definitely.
I also feel, before we even move on, that, you know, if you do find yourself in a place where, you know, you're not being loved, or you're constantly being critiqued, or you're constantly being put in a place where it's very hard for you to get out of being insecure, then you have to remove yourself from it. I'll say this because that's how abuse starts bit by bit. The problem is that we always look at abuse when it's a tree, and we don't realize that abuse is present when the seed is there. That seed is abuse. When someone tells you, you know, when someone wants to have that control over you, and it's oftentimes is when people can see your potential, but know that if I can break you and make you insecure, I can hinder you from being the person that you're supposed to be. And I think, if anything, if you're supposed to have a partner, it's supposed to be like iron sharpens iron. You know, you're both supposed to be sharpening yourself in that regard. So if you are with a person who is controlling, they're obsessing over what you do, who you see, how you look, because I had been in a relationship before where he was like, oh, you wearing this? But they can see your arms.
And then
oh, we're wearing shorts. Why don't they go down any longer? I'm like, because they're not long pants, you know? And it's those things that because we don't miss people, we don't understand how people communicate, that we can easily miss the signs of the tree of abuse when it comes in these small forms of wanting to bash you down about how you look, what you're wearing, this, that, and the other. I think it's very important to be careful.
Yeah.
To be careful of the people that you allow around you, because sometimes it's not even a partner. Sometimes it's a friend.
True.
Sometimes it's a friend who'll be like, hey, Maranawe, you and your knees.
Sometimes it's family.
Sometimes it's family. Oh yeah, no, I know. Sometimes it's family.
And also I just feel like just to add to that, if you are now an insecure person, you're not sure of yourself, and then now you bump into this person and you get into a relationship or a friendship or whatever, because you're not sure of yourself and who you are, it's very easy to just settle. And settle for anything and everything that comes your way. I think that was one of the lessons also I learned from my mom, never to settle, growing up. So my cousins as well were also quite chubby, and every December, you know, when all the cousins are together, abafana, no, abafana, don't engage yourself in those type of activities. Also wait, you know, don't settle because already you've been bullied and you don't have much confidence. The first guy that's gonna come your way,
that tiny bit, with the bare minimum.
That guy that's gonna give you that tiny bit of attention, you're going to fall for it, because you're not getting that love and attention from home,
100%.
and you're being criticized a lot of the time. So that's also something to be careful.
100%. We're married. We've passed varsity. How do you find yourself securely or let go of the insecurity, if there is, within your marriage itself? Because marriage, it's different. I mean, I think for me on the first day, it was kind of like, okay, now we're married, so now you're just gonna know every part of my body, like la. And there's people who are genuinely just open and free, and my husband's like that. He's just like, hey man, everybody has a body. And then there's me who's like, close the door. So how did you navigate that space, that now you're with someone and you find yourself in a place where this person is going to know you from all over, from your mind? How do you get rid of that insecurity, if there was, especially in the beginning? Because I think for me it was, but it was a very healthy one, because it's like, okay, now you're unraveling yourself. Like, it's nerve-wracking, not nerve-wracking, but it's like, hey, Shanti.
It is. I think for me, it was also, I think I probably went through the same thing, because I'm just like, okay, so Shatile. So if I'm you know.
No, okay, when I'm like, so can I in here, like, so too.
So you know, I think with that, in terms of overcoming that and just being comfortable, it came from Uzwandi. So I think if he wasn't the man or the husband that he is, I probably wouldn't have gotten over it. So it's very easy to wear, when we go away, to wear a swimsuit in front of him, you know, and just be in my swimsuit because I'm comfortable with my body and I love wearing swimsuits. That was fine. But now everything, that's just like, you know. So his words of affirmation, he's constant hyping me up, and even when I'm dressed, to find the feature on me, sometimes that you didn't even like, exactly, and speak about it. So that definitely wasn't on me, it was on him. And for that mere fact, I'm now able to be as free as I can be with my husband. So I think I'm too free now, because it gets that's which is great. No, listen, now it's like it's alright, it's okay. Now it's like
Anyway, advice for someone who is insecure.
Self-love. I'm a huge advocate of self-love. I think be okay with just being with yourself. Be okay with having quiet time with yourself. Be okay with being alone. You know, I think sometimes we rush into getting into relationships, and I will see that not making things easier for you guys on the gram.
You look beautiful, my love. Now you're
exactly, so I mean, all of that. But I personally feel spend time with yourself. Get to know who you are. Find out why you're insecure about that specific feature or personality trait or whatever. Find out why you're insecure about it. Once you know, change it if you can. If you can't, or if you want to, and if you don't want to, then let's embrace it. Let's work on it. There's so many things, so many challenges you can find on Google on how, like 30-day challenges, on self-love, on self-care, and also spending time with God. I think sometimes when we feel really empty, because as much as I can be really confident, sometimes I just feel, okay, thank you God for an amazing husband, but right now I just need to spend time with you.
Because God affirms you first.
Exactly, before anyone else, even before yourself, you know. So I think it's so easy to forget about the initial love that we have, which is the love of God.
True.
It's so easy to start being and you start forgetting about who you really are because of the things that are happening around in the world, on social media. And also, if you have to deactivate those social media accounts, please do it.
Unfollow. And I think there's nothing wrong with unfollowing, guys. And I would say a lot. Some people would like really, those, especially those who know me, whether sometimes at church or school, then they used to be like, but why didn't you follow me back? Or why aren't you following this? Then I'm like, for me personally, I'm full stress. When I open my phone, I want it to be as peaceful and as inspiring and as edifying as it is to me, because it's a feed. So if that feed, whatever it's giving me, if it's not edifying me, if it's making me feel worse, making me feel like I lack something, making me feel like I'm not good enough or I haven't attained, I think the crazy thing about social media is that once you feel like you have caught up, there's already like you on I've made it to level 2, they're already introducing level 5, you know. And I think that's the dangers. I think it's very important that what you put in, especially if you're sensitive and still soft too, and no one's gonna complain, you know. Remove the people you feel, you know, make you feel
a weird type of way.
A weird way. And it should be people who are inspiring you in every way, so that you can also feel good about yourself, you know. People say this, I want to be like this person, which I understand, but I think more than anything you should want to be like
yourself,
you know.
So the content, I think the content that we consume, we need to be very cognizant of what we consuming. Sometimes when Sonny and I are chilling at home and I can see this reality TV show, man,
that's on
is on season and life in baby, no, and then you have to switch channels because sometimes you literally consume you consume content without realizing it
all the time.
So I definitely agree with this thing of yours, Guti. Unfollow these people. Make your space as healthy as possible. And get rid of the toxic people, whether you feel like it's a friend you've had for the past 20 years.
I feel like if your partner is constantly, I mean guys, that's abuse. That's abuse. There is no one that should be standing for abuse, that this is how you must be, this is how you must look, because it makes them feel comfortable. So they keep on putting you down because they have an issue with themselves, so they project. That's what people do. The issue lies with them. And they project it so much that sometimes you end up thinking it's you know. And that's where the issue lies. I think for me, just the closing remarks, that I fully agree that it always starts number one with God. Your security will always come with God, you know, and come from God. He is the one who made you, and He knows you. And I think many times we make the flesh the final say. You know, we make the flesh the final say with regards to how we feel, and how we should feel or how we should act. And I don't think that's right. I think it's very important for us as women, as girlfriends, as wives to hear from God first, and then adjust accordingly. Do whatever you want to do that will make you feel healthy, that will make you feel well. If you're working out, you're working out for yourself. You know, one of the things, lastly before we close, I learned, and it was something that I had to correct myself over, is that I don't know why in high school we thought that we were big people, because we were not. But when you meet people from high school, be like, oh my goodness, you've changed, you've gained weight, you know, and it's just those things.
It's little things like that. Like, even when you meet up with your friends and you're like, so when are you having your next child? So, God, when we meet Anin, you know, guys.
You're not, and that's something you should never ask a woman, because you don't understand whether, if they are, number one, struggling, because there are people who are struggling, and then you also don't know the plans that they have. You don't know what, because for you, umntwana can be easy, but you don't know what's happening for them financially, that they first want to overcome before they bring a child into the world. And even if everything is dandy, let them make that decision by themselves.
I think we all fall into that mistake, but it's just little things like that we need to change as the next generation, to make sure that the next generation is not like that. Because I just feel like the old generation is quite vocal. They can be quite toxic, you know, those grandmothers. Which is sometimes
it's not a greeting. It's not a greeting. How?
So, in your homes as well, kids pick up on those things. Kids pick up on the comments. If you guys see someone on TV and you have a comment, kids pick up on those things and go say them at school to another kid. It's a whole cycle, and it requires emotional intelligence. You just need to be woke, be sure of yourself, and just read the Bible.
And be kind. Be kind to yourself, be kind to other people.
Okay, last thing.
Let's go.
It's so crazy that you're just saying be kind now, because one thing that Zondi and I took away from premarital counseling was be kind. And when our pastor said that, I didn't get it. But it's so easy to not be kind. It's so easy to fall into the rut of being unkind. By not taking the plate for your partner when you go to the kitchen. It's little things like that. Be a kinder person, and we'll have a better world.
You know what I'm saying? Thank you so much, hon. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here. We both know what it took for you to be here. Okay, and it's on me. But thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you for having me.
And I think people will see. I think sometimes they don't believe it when it comes from one side, because they look at me like, but but looking at a beautiful woman such as yourself, that there is no size, there's no age, there's no race, there's nothing that limits insecurity. It literally can affect everyone, and it's just how you get out of that that's really important, because it can really cripple you as a human being. And also in your relationship, insecurity in a relationship is a no-no. Is a no-no. You can't be calling your husband 527 times because he said he's out with the boys and there's probably other ladies around, and you're not confident in that thing. You can't. You absolutely can't. You must know that even when I send you out, you're gonna go out and you're going to uzthembe, knowing that, you know what, I know that he wouldn't do that to me, but also if he did do that to me, he is going to be losing someone who is absolutely amazing, that he will never be able to get again. And I think within that confidence, that's where it lies, and where security lies. So thank you so much.
Thank you
for chatting and for sharing. And yeah, until next time, guys, I hope that you enjoyed that one. Don't forget to share the video. Kindly like, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to tell your friends to tell their friends to tell their friends, okay, to like, comment, and subscribe. Bye.